All right, let's talk about something that's a huge but honestly often unspoken part of getting sober. That feeling that life without alcohol is just, well, boring. If you've ever felt that way, I promise you, you are not alone. Today, we're going to break down how to get past that feeling and find a totally new way of living. I mean, it really all boils down to this one simple question, doesn't it? If your whole social life, your entire idea of what fun even means, was built around drinking, what's left when you take that away? That's a scary thought, and it's really the first big hurdle we have to wrap our heads around.
And you know what? This feeling is so real, so common, that it actually has a name. So boring. Seeing it defined like this is, I think, so validating. It proves you're not just making it up. It's a known part of the process. And that means it's also something you can absolutely conquer.
So, how do we actually do that? How do we conquer it? Well, the whole journey starts right here in phase one. And what's so important to get about this phase is that it's not about running out and finding a bunch of exciting new hobbies. No, it's about something way more fundamental, building a solid, stable foundation for yourself first. Look, in those first few months, you really only have one job: stay sober. And that means, as the source material puts it so perfectly, fun just has to take a back seat. The top priority isn't having a good time, it's getting stable, focusing on your health, and just feeling solid ground under your feet again. So, what does building that foundation actually look like day to day? It really comes down to these four things. Think of them as your toolkit for building some inner peace. Move your body, feed your mind with good stuff, quiet down the noise in your head, and rediscover the simple satisfaction of small, quiet things. I absolutely love this metaphor for meditation. It's like rebooting a computer that's just completely overloaded. You know, when your brain is just buzzing with anxiety and cravings and static, meditation is that tool that lets you just shut it all down for a minute and restart with a clean slate with real clarity. This slide right here, this captures the trade-off you have to consciously make. It's about being really honest and figuring out what your old triggers were. And notice, it's not always the obvious stuff like bars. It could even be a hobby, like working on music by yourself, if that's something you always did while drinking. The key is to deliberately, actively replace those old habits with new ones that actually support you. Okay, so once that foundation feels solid, you're ready to move into phase two. This is where the fun part, the real work of redefining fun, actually begins. This is where you start to consciously figure out what engagement and joy look like for you now in this new life. A huge concept in this phase is something called productive escapism. Now, think about it. The human need to just escape the daily grind, that doesn't go away when you get sober. The goal isn't to pretend you don't feel that need, it's to channel it into healthy, renewing activities instead of destructive ones. And creative outlets are just one of the best ways to do this. You know, picking up that guitar again, painting, even just journaling. These things are so powerful because they don't just help you escape for a little while, they give you something back, a real sense of accomplishment, something tangible you created with your time. Physical activity is another massive piece of the puzzle. I was so struck by this phrase from the source material, running to get away from the monsters in your head. I mean, wow, that completely reframes exercise, right? It's not just about getting fit. It's about taking all that restless, anxious energy and literally converting it into powerful forward motion. And then you have travel. Now, this doesn't have to be some trip around the world. It could be a weekend trip to a town you've never seen. The point is that it acts like a fast for your mind. It breaks you out of your routine. It forces a fresh perspective, and it gives your brain a much-needed chance to reset and regenerate. All of this leads to a really crucial shift that happens in this phase. While a lot of those foundational activities back in phase one were things you did alone, you'll find that real long-term fulfillment almost always comes from connecting with other people. So what does that mean? It means you have to actively go out there and find your people. And the source gives some awesome, practical ideas. Go to a meetup for something you're into. Take that solo music hobby and join a band. The whole idea is to rebuild your social circle around shared passions, not just a shared substance. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most important part of this whole thing. It's the realization that sobriety isn't some destination. There's no finish line you cross and you're done. It's a continuous, ongoing journey of growth. The source defines this path forward with one single powerful word: going. It's a verb,
It's an action. It means you have to keep moving, keep trying new things, and stay committed to building this life day by day with desire and resilience.
Now, to make this idea of a continuous journey feel a bit more concrete, the source material gives a kind of milestone to aim for: 2 years. Now, why 2? Well, the idea is that it takes about 2 years of consistently, purposefully making these healthy choices to really solidify this new way of living, to make it your new normal. And this is the payoff. When you stop pouring your resources down the drain of alcohol, just look at what you get back. You reclaim your most valuable assets, the stuff you can't buy: your time, your energy, and your focus. The increase you see here isn't just a number on a chart. It's getting your life back.
So, when you boil this entire journey down, what's the big takeaway? It all points to one thing: a fundamental shift toward living a life with real purpose. It takes that earlier idea of productive escapism and just elevates it to a whole new level: wise escapism. This is about choosing ways to escape that don't just distract you, but that actually bring you closer to who you really are and who you want to be. And that brings us to the most important mindset shift of all. At some point, sobriety stops being about what you gave up, and it becomes completely and totally about what you gain: control, clarity, real connection, and a life that's actually filled with purpose. So, the final question isn't about what you left behind anymore. It's about all the new doors that have just opened up right in front of you. The only question left is, what new journey are you going to begin?